1307, July 30th, 2026. Right now marks 2,629 hours of progress on the global horror simulation. Currently, it's been figured out how to create a texture purely through code in Unreal Engine 5 and upload that to the GPU, and then verify that the texture is working correctly by modifying the color of every single pixel every frame, and then updating it every single frame without any crashes. So that sort of confirms that this was done correctly. And so this is seemingly useful because it allows for complete control over a texture's data. The various aspects have to be defined and controlled, such as the dimensions, the compression, the filtering, and the memory layout. And what that is useful for is that there's a certain aspect of Unreal Engine in which the material editor does not allow for arrays, and the custom nodes as well in Unreal Engine that can be used inside of the material graph to write hard-coded HL/SL shader code do not seem to accept arrays as some other engines might. So no structured buffers or such. And so what that means is that dynamic arrays can't be sent to the GPU in the same way using the Unreal Engine material graph, but arrays are basically similar to textures, as textures can store data. And so by being able to control a texture and send it to the GPU, it can basically act in much the same way as an array would. And so the intention going forward is to, now that it has been figured out how to create a texture purely through code and send that to the GPU, and be able to make it so that it is modifiable every single frame and updates in real time, the intention is to use a texture to process the voxel data within the level and be able to store a voxel in every single coordinate of a texture, and then upload that texture to a material so that the volumetric height fog can be rendered. So currently, the fog is only able to know its current index of the voxel it belongs to, but it doesn't actually know the state of that voxel, because it basically just reconstructs the ID of the voxel it belongs to, and then to test that they know their correct voxel, the ID is then checked against a certain boundary threshold. And so the intention going forward is to allow for them to know their exact voxel by sending the voxels into a texture to the material that holds the fog, and then having the pixels process the voxel and then check if its state, whether it's visible or not, in order to create fully 3D fog of war that can leave a persistent trail in Unreal Engine 5 using a dynamic runtime texture that holds the voxels and their state.